Okay, for the continuation of our topic in the future trends shaping agriculture. So let's proceed to our discussion in market dynamics. So analyzing the global and domestic market trends impacting the Philippine agriculture, changing the consumer preferences, our trade agreements, and also our price volatility. So the strategies for market diversification and value addition are as follows. So as part of our market dynamic, analyzing the global and domestic market trends that impacting the Philippine agriculture is essential for understanding the challenges and the opportunities faced by the sector. So the following are some of the key trends and their implications. First is the changing consumer preferences. The global consumers are increasingly demanding products that are organic, sustainably produced, and ethically sourced. So its implication in the Philippines, farmers should need to adapt to meet these consumer preferences by adapting a organic farming practices and promoting a sustainable agriculture and enhancing the product, the quality and safety standards to access the premium markets and increase competitiveness. So, as part of market dynamic is the trade agreements and market access. So, the Philippines is a signatory to various regional and international trade agreements, such as the ASEAN Free Trade Area and the World Trade Organization agreements. So, what is its implication? The these trade agreements that offers opportunities for market expansion and increased exports, they also expose our country, specifically in agriculture, to a competition from foreign imports. Farmers need to improve productivity, the quality, and at the same time, the value added processing to compete effectively in global market while ensuring a fair trade practices and protecting the domestic food security. Then let's proceed to the price volatility and market uncertainty. The global agricultural markets are prone to price volatility due to factors such as weather and extreme geopolitical tensions, exchange rate fluctuations, and supply demand imbalances. The implication of this, the price volatility can pose risk to Philippine farmers, affecting their income stability and profitability. To mitigate risk, farmers can adopt risk management strategies such as diversification, crop insurance, forward contracting, and market intelligence to anticipate price trends and make informed decisions. Next is the climate change impacts. The climate change posed a significant challenges to our country, especially in our agricultural sector, including the increase of the frequency and the intensity of extreme weather events like the El Nino, the severe drought, and also La Nina, and this change in precipitation patterns, rising temperatures, and also the sea level rise. So the implication of this is that our the climate change impacts can disrupt our agricultural production, and it reduced our crop yields and also threatened our food security. Our farmers need to adapt by implementing a climatic smart agricultural practices, investing in resilient crop varieties, improving water management, and enhancing a disaster preparedness to mitigate climate risk and ensure agricultural sustainability. Then the technology and innovation. Technological advancements such as a precision agriculture, biotechnology, and digitalization are transforming global agricultural production, supply chains, and market dynamics. So the implications of this, by adapting to the technology and innovation, can enhance the productivity and also the efficiency and competitiveness in the Philippine agriculture. Farmers need access to technology, training, and support services to adopt modern agricultural practices and leverage digital tools for farm management and also market access and value chain integration. So, in conclusion, for the market dynamics, in analyzing the global and domestic market trends, as we uh, learn and understand its complexity of the trends in the marketplace, it is essential for the Philippine agriculture to navigate and also to know its direction to the challenges and capitalize on opportunities. We have a lot of opportunities in our sector so that we can be able to increase the interconnectedness and dynamic global economy. And by understanding the consumer preferences, which is very important, um, what are the preferences of our target market, we know what to produce, when to produce, and the volume of the production that we can intend to supply this specific or this um, target markets, the trade dynamics, the price volatility, and also the climate risk. And at the same time, the technological advancements, farmers can adapt and innovate to build a resilient, sustainable, and competitive agricultural sector. Then let's proceed to the policy recommendations. So, strengthening the institutional framework. As part of this is the reviewing of existing agricultural policies and institutions. So, as we review the existing agricultural policies and institutions, we need to understand that these components are very crucial for assessing the effectiveness of our government interventions in supporting the agricultural sector. Here's an overview of some key agricultural policies and institutions in the Philippines. So, the Department of Agriculture is the primary government agency responsible for the formulation and implementation of agricultural policies, the programs, and regulations in our country. So, the Department of Agriculture, it oversees a various bureaus attached to these agencies, and also the regional field offices that are involved in crop production, livestock farming, fisheries, and agricultural research, extension services, and also in the rural development. So, as part of the Agricultural and Fisheries Mechanization Law, this is the Republic Act number 10601. This law promotes the modernization of agricultural and fisheries sector through the adoption of mechanized and automated technologies. This aims to enhance the productivity, the efficiency, and competitiveness in agriculture by providing incentives and support and capacity building that is programmed for mechanization. And also the Agriculture and Fisheries Modernization Act, Republic Act number 8435. So this landmark law provides the policy framework and institutional support for the modernization and development of the agricultural fisheries sectors. It aims to enhance productivity, sustainability, and competitiveness through the technology adoption, infrastructure development, and credit assistance, marketing support, and institutional strengthening. Then let's proceed to the National Organic Agriculture Program. The National Organic Agriculture Program promotes the adoption of the organic farming practices and at the same time the sustainable agriculture and environmental conservation. It provides support for our organic farming research and development, extension services, certification and market promotion, and capacity building initiatives. And then the Bureau of Agricultural Research. The Bureau of Agricultural Research is the research and development arm of the Department of Agriculture, responsible for coordinating and implementing the agricultural research programs and projects. It funds research initiatives, technology development, and innovation projects to address the priority areas such as crop improvement, pest management, our soil conservation efforts, and climate change adoption. Then, the Philippine Rice Research Institute. The PhilRice is a government research agency dedicated to rice research and development, aiming to enhance the rice productivity, sustainability, and resilience. It conducts research on crop breeding, the agronomy, pest management, post harvest technology, and extension service to support the rice sector and ensure our food security. And also the National Irrigation Administration. The National Irrigation Administration is responsible for the planning, development, operation, and maintenance of irrigation systems to support agricultural production. It constructs and rehabilitates irrigation facilities, promote water-saving technologies, and provide irrigation services to farmers beneficiaries nationwide. Then, as we proceed to the strengthening institutional framework, so proposing reforms to enhance the governance, the coordination, and enforcement. In proposing a reforms to enhance the governance, coordination, and enforcement in the agricultural sector, it is crucial for improving the policy implementation, fostering a collaboration among stakeholders, and ensuring the compliance with regulations. So here are some of the key reforms that can be considered. The strengthening interagency coordination. Establish an interagency task force or council composed of relevant government agencies, including the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, the Department of Agrarian Reform, and the local government units. This task force should be tasked with coordinating policies, their programs, their initiatives that is related to agricultural development and also to our environmental conservation, land management, and rural development so that we can ensure their alignment and their synergy and effectiveness in the implementation. And then the enhancing the policy integration. They should develop a mechanism for integrating an agricultural policies with other sectoral policies, such as environmental management, land use planning, climate change adoption, and disaster risk reduction. So this will foster a collaboration and consultation among different government agencies, our civil society organizations, academic institutions, and private sectors, stakeholders to address cross-cutting issues and promote holistic approaches to sustainable development. And also improving a data sharing and analysis. This is very vital. Establish a centralized database or information management system. So for our agricultural data, this is very, very crucial, including production statistics or market trends, land use mapping, climate data, and socioeconomic indicators. With this, facilitate data sharing. It will exchange and analyze among government agencies, the research institutions, farmers' organizations, and other stakeholders to support evidence based decision making and their policy formulations and for their program evaluation. Then, our strengthening the monitoring and evaluation mechanism. They will be able to develop robust monitoring and evaluation frameworks to assess the impact of their effectiveness and efficiency of their agricultural policies, programs, and projects. So establish a performance indicator, its targets and benchmark to track progress, identify bottleneck, and evaluate the outcomes in terms of agricultural productivity, environmental sustainability, the poverty reduction, and social equity. Then our enhancing enforcement and compliance, strengthening the enforcement mechanisms and regulatory framework to ensure the compliance with agricultural laws and environmental regulations our land use policies, and our social safeguards. And with this, they can be able to invest in capacity building, training, and enforcement agencies responsible for monitoring, inspection, and enforcement to enhance their effectiveness in detecting and addressing the violations, enforcing sanctions, and promoting compliance. And then for the promoting the transparency and accountability as part of our effort to strengthening our institutional framework, we would like to suggest to enhance the transparency and in our decision making process in our government agencies, and also for a public consultations and stakeholder engagement to promote inclusivity, the participation, and accountability. With this, we can establish a mechanism for public disclosure of information, citizen feedback mechanisms, and grievance redress mechanism to empower our farmers, communities, and civil society organizations to hold government agencies and policymakers accountable for their actions and decisions, which are very vital to our progress in our country. By implementing these reforms, as what I mentioned, the Philippine government can strengthen governance, coordination, and enforcement mechanism in our agricultural sector, and not only limited to the agricultural sector, leading to more effective, efficient, and sustainable development outcomes for farmers, rural communities, and to our environment. Then to our investment in research and innovations. So in advocating for increased investment in agricultural research and innovation, we are advocating for increased the investment in agricultural research and innovation, which is crucial for enhancing the productivity, the sustainability, and resilience in the agricultural sector. So here are some of the key points to support this advocacy. Okay, so first is the enhancing the productivity and food security. So the increased investment in agricultural research and innovation can lead to the development of high-yielding crop varieties and also can be able to develop a more resilient livestock breeds and also innovate farming techniques. Then promoting a sustainability and environmental conservation. Research and innovation can help develop sustainable farming practices such as conservation agriculture, precision farming, and agroecology, which minimize the environmental impact and preserve the natural resource. And also for the supporting the climate change adoption and mitigation. Investment in research and innovation can facilitate the development of climatic resilient crops, drought drought tolerant varieties, and climate smart agriculture practices to help farmers adapt to changing climatic conditions and mitigate the greenhouse gas emissions. And also to empower our smallholder farmers and rural communities. Investment in agricultural research and innovation can empower our smallholder farmers by providing them with access to improved seeds, technologies, and knowledge, thereby enhancing their productivity, their income, and also their livelihoods. By highlighting these points and providing evidence from reputable sources, advocates can make a compelling case for increased investment in agricultural research and innovation for policymakers, donors, and stakeholders at all levels. Then, empowering the smallholder farmers. I'm also an advocate for this, addressing the needs of our smallholder farmers, since um, we need to understand that our agricultural sector is composed of a small scale farming, since majority of the land that we cultivate are cultivated by our smallholder farmers. That is why this is very important that we need to understand so that we can be able to create a policy that will cluster or group this uh, huge number of small scale farmers. Addressing the need of smallholder farmers through targeted policies and program is essential for promoting a inclusive and sustainable agricultural development. So here's how targeted policies and programs can support our smallholder farmers. First is the access to credit and financial services. So, implementing a targeted credit programs and microfinance initiatives specifically tailored to the needs of smallholder farmers, providing them with access to affordable credit, also savings and insurance services. So, this is somehow eased the impact of diversity of challenges that our farmers are facing. And then the extension and advisory services. This will strengthen the extension and advisory services to provide smallholder farmers with a technical assistance, training, and also the information on improved farming practices, crop management, pest control, and market opportunities. And then to access the inputs and technologies, this will ensure the affordable and timely access to quality inputs such as seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, and agricultural machinery through targeted subsidy programs, input supply chains, and technology transfer initiatives. So the market linkage and value chain to facilitate the smallholder farmers' participation in agricultural value chain and by improving the market linkages, providing a market information and supporting our farmers cooperative, collective marketing and contract farming arrangements. And then our land tenure security and access. To strengthen the land tenure security for our smallholder farmers through land titling programs, our land redistribution community, land tenure system, and our legal support services to protect their land rights and enhance the investment confidence. And then for our climate change adaptation and resilience, to support smallholder farmers' resilience to climate change by promoting a climate smart agricultural practices, water management technologies, weather insurance schemes, and community based adaptation strategies. So, by empowering our smallholder farmers, addressing the needs of smallholder farmers through targeted policies, and by implementing these targeted policies and programs, we can surely uh, pinpoint and specify the needs and challenges that our smallholders are enduring and empowering them to improve their livelihoods and also to increase their productivity since their livelihood is dependent on their output and contribute since they are the backbone of our economy. Our food security and our rural development is somehow at the top of the priority, should be put at the top priority of our country. Okay, so then as part of this, as an access to credit, we need to implement a target credit program and financial inclusion initiatives to provide smallholder farmers with access to affordable credit. Yes, as part of our first, as what I discussed earlier. So then at the same time, market linkage. We need to support our smallholder farmers. We need to advocate, support local, and at the same time, facilitate a smallholder farmers access to market by improving their market infrastructure and also the transportation network, market information system, and their value chain development initiatives. And through the extension services, where the strengthening of our agricultural extension service will provide our smallholder farmers with a technical assistance, training, and information on improved farming practices, the crop management, pest control, and post-harvest handling. And also for our farmer producer organization, will promote the formation and capacity building for farmer producer organization to empower the smallholder farmers. With this, they will be enhanced the collective bargaining power and facilitate the market access. With this, input procurement and value addition. And also the mobile and digital technologies. as we harness the mobile and digital technologies to deliver financial, the market, and extension services to our smallholder farmers, leveraging a mobile banking, e-commerce platforms, and agri-tech applications, and digital extension tools, and also for our public and private partnership. With this, as we foster a collaboration and partnerships between public institutions, our private companies, NGOs, and civil society organizations to leverage the resources, expertise, and network in delivering the agricultural support services to our smallholder farmers. By promoting access to credit, market, and extension services through targeted policies and programs, governments and development agencies and stakeholders can empower the smallholder farmers and enhance their productivity and income. And through this, we can be able to contribute to the poverty reduction and food security for all. And through this initiative, we can be able to improve the rural development, which is somehow considered as our backbone of our country. In conclusion, the future of the Philippine agriculture hinges on our ability to adapt to changing trends and formulate a proactive policies. As future leaders in agriculture, it is our responsibility to advocate for sustainable practices and also to harness the power of technology through research, through innovation, and through collaboration. And we can be able to ensure the welfare of our smallholder farmers. That is our uh, greatest objective by embracing the innovation and collaboration with every members of agricultural sectors from government and private. We can pave the way for a resilient and prosperous agriculture sector in the Philippines. We need to remember that the seeds we plant today will bear fruit for our generations to come, to our children and to our grandchildren. Let us sow the seeds of progress and innovation in our Philippine agriculture. That is my sincere message to everyone. And thank you for your attention, and may you embark on your journey and catalyze for positive change in the agricultural landscape in the Philippines. Thank you very much for being part of our lesson today. I'll see you again on our next video lecture. Bye bye.